Welcome to Silverstone, welcome to RaceSpotTV, and welcome to 60 Plus Touring Car Championship. It looks beautiful, and we've got so much great racing ahead of us live on RaceSpotTV with 60 Plus racing adventures. It's the iRacing League for drivers 60 years of age or older. Certainly when we think of iRacing and we think of iRacing leagues, we think of young drivers. You might think of teenagers in their bedroom, but this is a league very long running, growing all the time for iRacers 60 years of age or older from all around the world, and they've got all sorts of leagues now across all kinds of cars: Super Formula Light, GT4, NASCAR, ARCA, NASCAR trucks, everything. But this is GT4 cars in the Touring Car Championship at Silverstone, the modern Grand Prix layout. This is a look at it. I always think of it as 4 long straights connected by a couple of high-speed corners. You've got the front straight, aka the Hamilton straight. You've got the Wellington straight underneath the bridge. You've got the Old Pit straight. You've got the Hangar straight after the famous and intimidating Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel sequence of high-speed corners and direction changes. And then that brings you around to the end of a lap here. So this is what the schedule looks like this season for Touring Car Challenge in 60 Plus Racing Adventures. It started at a new iRacing circuit, The Bend, and then Watkins Glen, Okayama, Mosport, Donington Park, Mugello. This is round 7 from Silverstone, live on RaceSpotTV, with Road America, Zolder, VIR, Imola, and Suzuka still to come to close out this season. In the championship standings, things are hot. Gia Galebo leads the way on 242 points. Steve O'Malley's in second, ahead of David Bradley, Earl Setzer, Oyvind Anderson, Jan-Erik Skrefsrud, Ragnar Visloff, Steve Greenwood, Russ Addy, and Leif Hellberg. That's our top 10 in the points, with just 4 points between Galebo and O'Malley. We'll see who can come out on top today, who can take the most points, and who can be most successful. American units of measurement for the track conditions, where it's 84% humidity, a little bit of a breeze blowing, but it is a nice morning at Silverstone. Perfect if you're Sonny Hayes for Apex GP doing a little bit of testing, or for all of our 60 plus drivers in GT4. Ahead of a 25-minute race, they are getting into qualifying now. 10 minutes, 2 laps, and this is a look at the kind of cars we're going to see on display. Ragnar Visloff, I think a member of the Norwegian Porsche Owners Club, is in the Cayman GT4, perhaps unsurprisingly, but there's also McLarens, BMWs, Aston Martins, and Mercedes out there across the field. Here's another Porsche for Larry Tissel. He's going down the Hangar straight right now towards Stowe and then Club. A little bit off camber through Stowe. You often see a wide line around there, worked very well when you're battling too wide. These GT4 cars, not quite as wide tyres or as much aero as a GT3, a little bit closer to a road car. So trying to take a line, therefore, through the high-speed corners that just floats the car as best as possible. So Roberto Catalano will be the first driver to cross the line and begin a flying lap. Steve O'Malley, then Franz Josef Sturm, and Larry Tissel. We'll see some of the sectors come in and see what qualifying might look like. Here's one of those McLaren 570S GT4s just navigating the final complex of corners. Timing line is just back there, I'm pretty sure, for here on the Grand Prix circuit. Oyvind Anderson brings his McLaren into turns 1 and 2, super fast and flowing. And there certainly are a couple of Caymans out here, no doubt. Here's JR Gregory in the 218. He's at a purple first sector, so the light and nimble Porsche doing well through the only real slow corners of the lap there at the loop. Then he navigates Wellington straight. Late apex here in this long medium speed left-hander, and then maybe double apex through this even longer right-hander to bring us to the old pit straight where the support paddocks often still are. Gregory is tracking with the best sectors on the first of 2 flying laps. Got to keep it within bounds here. A tough ask at Silverstone Circuit. in a GT4 car, you've got so many medium to high-speed corners where a little snap could see you go wide and out of the track limits. Brake lights coming on late through Kopp's corner there as well as he tries to keep the weight on the nose, tries to stop the car from ploughing wide and keep it within bounds. And then multiple changes of direction here. Left-hander into the right-hander, switching to the left, trying to hold tight to the left to open up Chapel, because the moment you get to full throttle here, you are going to keep full throttle onto the hangar straight. Well, the purple sector 3 for Gregory gets taken away by Hellberg, but this is still tracking very well for Gregory with just a couple of corners to go. 2 braking zones really, one here into Stowe corner. Again, just long trail braking application here while the tyre temperature still builds on a cool morning. And then a bigger stop at Vale. Navigating the multiple sausage curbs. And just trying to navigate to set up to begin the second flying lap. The times begin to hit the board. Paul Stump from O'Malley from Larry Tittle, but JR Gregory displaces them all, and by some margin. His first lap, a pretty hot one, a 2:11.4 to send him to the top. Ahead of Stump and O'Malley and Franz Josef Sturm, here's Ragnar Wisloff. Let's have a look at him through the final corner. Track limit's pretty critical there, so just got to be a little bit careful. Hellberg takes his Porsche to second. Ragnar Wisloff takes his Porsche all the way to the top. Cayman GT4 with a 2:11 flat, expecting to see more improvement on lap 2 out of all of our drivers as well, as they build confidence, but also as they build temperature and pressure into their GT4 tyres. Cayman is super popular. Here's Steve Greenwood in his, but he has no lap time just yet. He's joined in that way by Russ Addy, Bob Cohen, Remigio De Pasqua, Oyvind Anderson, Earl Setz, and Jan-Erik Skrefsrud, a whole heap of drivers without a qualifying time yet. 7 of them, because you've got 10 who have set a time. David Bradley looks like his second lap hasn't gone well. He's back to the pits. Oyvind Anderson, no lap time yet. So those that got track limits and their first lap time didn't count, Bob Cohen, Oyvind Anderson here, and Earl Setzer. So they've been out on track, but their first lap time has been deleted. It all has to rest on this second lap for Anderson in the McLaren. We've seen how Porsche Cayman takes this sequence of corners, but on board with the McLaren, Anderson using plenty of the curb, trying to place it for the exit, up through the gears as you go. Turbocharged V8 in this specification of McLaren, the 570S GT4, its replacement, the Artura, with a very wide angle hot V 120 degree V6. A couple of them kicking around in Australia. More lap times come in. Ragnar Wisloff remains at the top. Leif Hellberg improves slightly. A few other times improved there. Still just 10 drivers with qualifying times. Anderson's been tidy from what we've seen of him so far on this lap. So we'll see if this completes out the final corner, leaving plenty of space to the track limits. Oyvind Anderson will jump up into 8th. Roberto Catalano into 13th there. Russ Addy, Steve Greenwood, Remigio De Pasqua, Jan-Erik Skrefsrud, no lap times. So this is Addy in the 111. It's an orange. Rexy's orange cousin. Just 2 laps is what the drivers get for qualifying. So most of our drivers have completed all of those. Addy might just squeak in time for another lap here as well, if that'd count, and it would. So his first lap is a 2:16.1. Live timing is available. Find it in the YouTube chat or wherever you're watching. I'm sure you can find our live timing. The link is posted in many, many places. 2 Italian flag drivers on track today. Roberto Catalano and Remigio De Pasqua, teammates from the Italian Turtles. De Pasqua has No time yet. First lap didn't count. This is just coming around to complete his second lap in the number 4. And it will count. It'll count pretty well because it'll send him to 7th place. Just leaves Steve Greenwood as the only driver without a qualifying time at this point. He's in the final sector. Bit of understeer through Stowe Corner at the end of the Hangar Straight. This one could count. Everyone else has completed 2 laps except Greenwood and Addy. So we'll see Greenwood to the line. And it's a good one too, from no time to 5th place. That's pretty decent. Russ Addy, the last driver with a chance to make any impression on qualifying. We'll see if he gets to complete this after the clock runs out. I think he should. No, he doesn't in this format. He does not, because it was lone qualifying, not everyone in on track together. That means it's a hard cut to the end of the 10 minutes, and he just misses out on a chance to improve. 25-minute race ahead of us, and this is what the grid will look like. It's all Porsche Caymans on the front row of this GT4 Touring Car Challenge. Ragnar Wisloff with the pole, JR Gregory in second, Leif Hellberg in third with the McLaren, then Bob Cohen, Steve Greenwood, and Paul Stump we didn't see, but hey, there's a Mercedes AMG starting out of 6th. Steve O'Malley, same in 7th. Mijo de Pasqua in 8th, Franz Josef Sturm with the BMW in 9th, Oyvind Andersen in 10th, Earl Setzer 11th, Larry Total in 12th, and then it was Peter Holstrom who qualified 13th ahead of David Bradley, Russ Addy, Roberto Catalano and Jan-Erik Skrefsrud. All 17 drivers set a qualifying time. A few of them would have had the opportunity to go quicker. Russ Addy ran out of time. David Bradley looks like he actually crashed in the first sector of his second flying lap, so only his banker counted, and there were a few other drivers with tails like that. Lining up for the rolling start behind the pace car, it's 22 degrees Celsius on the track, 19.5 in the air, 8km/h wind blowing from the north. Pace car pulls away and get ready to go. Thinking about those points again. Yeah, Galebo not present. Steve O'Malley starting out of 7th. So an opportunity today for Steve O'Malley, no doubt. Pace car is in. Ragnar Wisloff looks like he's not hanging around. I think he has put that thing down early. Not a particularly well-structured side-by-side rolling start, but maybe that's what the pole sitter wanted. He leads into turn 1, followed closely by Gregory. Leif Hellberg, the McLaren. I've always thought the McLaren switched on the tyres pretty good, so maybe here's an opportunity right now for Hellberg to make some gains in this short race. Only a 2 wide, deep in the field as well. Pasqua saw Franz Josef Sturm also looking for some moves. The only BMW out there in this mix of 5 different GT4 specification cars. End of the Wellington Straight, Ragnar Wisloff still with the lead from JR Gregory and Leif Hellberg. Steve Greenwood making a spot up into 4th at the expense of Bob Cohen as they stretched out on that race start. Paul Stump then leads a group where they're side by side with a little bit of door banging, and Oyvind Andersen goes around. He's in the grass of the infield after making just a little bit of side by side contact with Remigio de Pasqua. So lots of spots lost on this race start, unfortunately, for Andersen, who's got Roberto Catalano, David Bradley just behind him. First lap into the most iconic section of this racetrack. Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel, Gregory doing a good job to stay close with a good line onto the front straight. Sorry, onto the hanger straight to get a slipstream behind Ragnar Wisloff, who'll lead him to the driver's left-hand side underneath the bridge, heading towards the braking zone. Gregory still following closely as well. Steve Greenwood seemed to get a pretty good run down the straight as Hellberg runs wide into Stowe. 0.2 of a second between the leaders into the last big braking zone of the lap. Field compression again. Hellberg just runs in a bit deep, runs in a bit wide, seems to plough a tiny bit on with the McLaren. First lap completed, not a lot to separate your top four. Predicting that this might go about 13 laps. So this is Anderson. Now Anderson goes to the inside of De Pasqua here. There's a tiny bit of a door bang and the McLaren goes around. That was some of your lap one hijinks. Franz Josef Sturm in the black and green BMW sneaks through as well. And then Steve O'Malley had a problem on the opening lap. He's going to enter frame and then lose the rear and exit frame from Chapel. On board with the race leader Ragnar Wisloff, and I guess you just got to keep an eye on the mirror because trust me, JR Gregory is back there keeping the pressure on the pole sitter and the race leader right now. These two just putting a little bit of time into Hellberg and Greenwood. Seen Hellberg struggle a little bit with the transition between straight line braking to turn in to some of the corners. See if that car comes on a little bit stronger later on. But obviously Greenwood also in the Porsche Cayman has same equipment with him that Wisloff and Gregory have got as this leading duo. So he's keeping that pressure there on the podium in third place. Peak speeds here with the slipstream, JR Gregory. Just getting an extra 2 kilometers an hour or so before the braking zone. Not really enough to get alongside Ragnar Wisloff as he would have hoped. Takes a later apex through Vale. Stowe towards Vale. On board from second place. You see Gregory just trying to take some different lines versus Wisloff, trying to maybe carry a little more speed here, maybe take later apexes to get a run at him on the straights, to put himself in a threatening position, maybe opt to get a little bit closer in towards turn 3 here. Certainly does, but then runs it just a fraction wide, opens up the second part of the loop better. It's all about trying to do something different to the guy in front. Give yourself an opportunity that if they stumble, you can get alongside them or try to stick the move. Top 4 spreading out. Hellberg, Greenwood dropping back a tiny bit. Paul Stump still leading a group in 6th place. I think Stump might be one of the highest running Mercedes at the moment, with Remigio De Pasqua just behind him. GT4 cars are certainly the type of thing where you see the different models maybe take different lines. They do have strengths and weaknesses more varied in different areas than GT3 cars typically do. So De Pasqua a little tighter through Luffield. Paul Stump going out a little bit wider, a little bit of a later apex. Double apex stuff. Positions gained on the timing column left side of screen. Larry Tittle up 3, Russ Addy up 5, Jan-Erik Skrefsrud from rapport qualifying perhaps up 4. Steve O'Malley still at the back of the field. Here comes Russ Addy taking a look at Larry Tittle though to try to make it +6 positions. Tittle goes one side, then moves the other. It's going to be the inside of Stowe. that Russ Addy gets. And he roars his way into 9th position. Battle for the lead top of screen. Russ Addy making moves bottom of screen. Always close with GT4s. And Oyvind Andersen's trying to cut back through the field, so he'll move ahead of Earl Setzer. And confidently too. Another McLaren there, Jan-Erik Skrefsrud. So, gee, there's some solid Norwegian representation going on. As Pasqua gets ahead of Stump. Setzer and Skrefsrud a little more evenly matched to each other than Oyvind Andersen, who obviously dropped a whole handful of positions on that opening lap, now charging back. Ragnar Wisloff charging clear, spent a whole lot of this race just sort of 3/10 clear of JR Gregory, now puts about 6/10 between himself and his nearest rival for the victory. And then last lap, Leif Helleberg found a little bit of mojo. So while the leader did a 2:11.2, Helleberg had a 2:11.1. Actually, his personal best of the race. And were it not for track limits, probably the fastest lap of the race. So Gregory not keeping up with the pace gain that Wisloff's had. Leif Helleberg coming back into his own, just approaching, oh my gosh, well, I've said that, he's just gone very wide at Stowe, approaching the halfway point shortly. Another lap completed. Another set of lap times with some track limits in them. Ragnar Wisloff 2:10.8 doesn't count as the fastest lap of the race, but it is the fastest lap we've seen. Don't know where he extended the track limits. Certainly feeling a little bit of pressure to use all of the road and every single little bit for maximum speed. Everyone looking like they're picking up pace in these GT4 cars and in this type of tyre the longer we go on. So after Remigio de Pasqua got past the white and blue Mercedes of Paul Stump, Franz Josef Sturm in the black and green BMW getting a little bit closer, getting 8/10 closer last lap, in fact, to just be 7/10 behind. Looks like it's the... We got the Evo spec, I think, on the G82 M4. So it's all the latest machinery for Franz Josef Sturm, the only German-flagged driver racing today. Give you a rundown of that. Ragnar Wisloff flying the Norwegian flag, JR Gregory, United States of America, Leif Helleberg, Denmark, Steve Greenwood, UK, Bob Cohen, USA, Remigio de Pasqua, Italia, Paul Stump, Swiss, Franz Josef Sturm, Germany, Russ Addy and Larry Tittel, USA, Oyvind Andersen, Norway, Earl Setzer, USA, Jan-Erik Skrefsrud, Norway, Peter Holstrom, Sweden, David Bradley, USA, Steve O'Malley, UK, and Roberto Catalano, Italia. So a mix of Europeans and North Americans racing today. It's European versus European for Paul Stump versus Franz Josef Sturm. Looks like David Bradley's going to look for a move on Peter Hallstrom. Didn't have the confidence down the inside of turn 1. And that gives Steve O'Malley an opportunity to dive down the inside on David Bradley. And another position for O'Malley on the comeback trail after spinning out of Chapel. Moved ahead of Catalano, ahead of Bradley, ahead of Peter Hallstrom. So race leaders still just creeping up in pace to a 2:10.8 for Ragnar Wisloff. His pole time from qualifying was a 2:10.7, and he's getting closer towards that. Hellberg hasn't been able to find the consistency. Great battle back here. So Steve O'Malley's gotten through this and gotten by, but David Bradley thinks he can be quicker than Peter Hallstrom. He's had a couple of looks, but hasn't had the confidence or gotten fully side by side. Doesn't want to dive bomb down the inside and take them both out. So he's had to wait a couple of times. As he's done that, Roberto Catalano in the BMW has gotten closer. So the run onto the hanger straight. Peter Hallstrom pulls to the left. David Bradley looks to go by. Roberto Catalano will get a good run at both of them, to be honest, heading towards Stowe. Bradley through and clear. Roberto Catalano past. Hallstrom ending up wide and in the marbles there as well, which undoubtedly build up offline wide of a high-speed corner like that. All of them go a little wide into Vale. Compromises your run into Club corner here, which has become a double apex in the reprofiling of the current Grand Prix circuit. Sort of post 2010, 2011 on this configuration. Roberto Catalano actually the fastest of all of them on the last lap in that group. Paul Stump's just ahead of Franz Josef Sturm and Russ Addy. So while Sturm was trying to close in Stump, they've both been caught by Russ Addy. Addy looking to go all the way around the outside, cut back to a late apex. So this is Addy making sure he takes different lines, making sure he gives himself an opportunity to show his speed in places that his rival can't. Old pit straight towards Copse Corner, really high speed here. If you can't pass before you get there, then you're probably looking at waiting to just get a really good run onto the hanger straight. So just setting yourself up for the slalom so that you take a late apex here, a late apex here, and then a late apex for Chapel to get power on early. Russ Addy looks like he's done a really good job of that. Really stable onto the straight, about 1 car length back, looking for some slipstream if he can get it. With a look to the inside and a dive, looking to take 8th place away. Russ Addy moves up into 8th place. Franz Josef Sturm in a 9th. Russ Addy getting that move done in good time, because he might still have the pace to catch Paul Stump or Remigio de Pasqua. You see them just up the road. It's a little deep into that next braking zone, but just trying to seal the deal on the spot. Addy is far and away the biggest mover in this race now, with +7 positions. Henrik Skrefsrud's next in +5, and he might make that +6 actually as he battles with Oyvind Andersen. Race lead remains tense, but stable. Has Gregory saved anything to fight for the win here? real test of the direction change, the roll of the car as you go from on the limit of your grip in a left-hander to the right, to the left, sort of accelerating a little bit, braking, and then eventually opening up the throttle onto the straight. Greenwood ahead of Hellberg for the podium. What's happened back there in third and fourth? Oh, Leif Hellberg's gone and lost a whole chunk of time. He's more than 2.5 seconds behind. He's gone off the track somewhere. Steve Greenwood is up into a podium position. Well, let's take a look at Hellberg into Stowe. Oh, he just cuts a bit too much at the inside, gets too much curb, gets too much grass. Almost comes to a complete stop, sliding sideways. And we have ourselves a Porsche podium lockout because of that. Wisloff and Gregory battling for the lead. Greenwood through into third. Hellberg eventually settling in fourth place right now. They outside of Cops Corner could be one of the places where they extend the track limits a little bit. Ragnar Wisloff certainly got close. Currently doing 140 k's an hour, dropping down about 120, and then picking up the throttle, doing 150 now, and it's flat out through that left-hander. So really, the straight starts just a little bit before at the apex of the right-hander Chapel. Not the MotoGP layout here, so they carry a lot more speed onto the straight. For eventually reaching a bit above 230 kilometers an hour. This will be to complete lap 9, as we're doing a 25-minute race. Get 3 more. So there's the start-finish line, or a bit of track limits on the outside of the final corner as well. And we'll get 3 more laps of the modern Silverstone Grand Prix. Incident count penalties every 10 incidents. So, gee, I think a few drivers will have to be careful if I'm reading that correctly as a drive-through every 10 incidents. Jan-Erik Skrefsrud has a slowdown penalty. Paul Stump has Russ Addy just behind him heading into turn 1 right here. So Stump in the Mercedes. Russ Addy in the Porsche. Oh, and a look down the inside of Village will keep us side by side heading towards the loop where Stump goes way to the inside. Russ Addy trying to sweep around the outside, flat out through this left-hander Aintree corner. Stump runs it a tiny bit wide there, and Russ Addy does gain 1 more spot up into 7th place. 3 more laps for him to try to catch Remigio de Pasqua if he can. And Ragnar Wisloff's race lead out to 1.5 seconds. So all of this time, JR Gregory sitting sort of 3/10, 6/10 just behind Wisloff. Wisloff's now sort of out of the slipstream, a really good opportunity to try to leave Gregory behind, and he's moving to the left-hand side of the road. He's almost willing to break the toe, trying real hard for it. Got to assume that Gregory just had a little slide or a bobble somewhere that's cost him about a second or so. And given Ragnar Wisloff more breathing room, but also just a little bit less pressure, that he can just execute each lap cleanly. He doesn't need to execute every single corner cleanly to stave off the pressure for the race win. And that lap just completed a 2:10.9 for Wisloff, a 2:11.9 for Gregory. Significantly down. Bit of traffic congestion on the straight. So Franz Josef Sturm ahead of Larry Tittle, Oyvind Anderson ahead of Yannick Skrefsrud. You're looking at Earl Setzer ahead of Steve O'Malley. David Bradley was also battling Roberto Catalano, 15th and 16th on the hangar straight. This is what gets everyone going for 60 plus racing adventures, is no matter your speed, you'll find someone of a similar speed that you can have a battle with. Anderson and Skrefsrud both have slowdowns from going too wide out of the final corner. So I don't know if it's a pure off track, but you go wide enough and there's a slowdown on the outside of the corner. Anderson's cleared his before Skrefsrud. David Bradley ahead of Roberto Catalano here. Catalano faster on the last lap. Setzer versus O'Malley. Whoa, O'Malley giving everything through Aintree. More speed on the Wellington straight. Looking to the inside for Brooklands. You can go around the outside here sometimes. It's a late apex, and that can give you the inside for the next. It's what Setzer wants. O'Malley well round the outside and staying ahead. So here's the Norwegians in their McLarens. Anderson from Skrefsrud. Skrefsrud 6/10 quicker last lap. Really looking like he's putting some of the pressure on. Ragnar Wisloff starts the final lap of the race, almost 3 seconds clear of JR Gregory. Steve Greenwood still running in third. Hellberg caught him a little bit last lap, but it might be too late beginning this final lap of the race for them. Definitely not too late in all the other battles for 7th, 9th, 11th, everywhere else through the field. Russ Addy has caught Remigio de Pasqua for 6th. So what a charge through the field from Russ Addy. 8 positions gained. Has not given up on 9. And is keeping the pressure up. Hellberg's keeping the pressure up on Greenwood. There's so many places to look in this race. Wisloff continues to extend his lead yet further. Gregory able to go with him for the first half of the race, dropping back a little bit across this next stage. Might have burnt through his incident points a little too early. It's a victory lap for Ragnar Wisloff. As the other Norwegians battled it out through Brooklands and continue to do so. You can't let your guard down until you've crossed the checkered flag anywhere in this field of 60 plus racing adventures touring car challenge. Ragnar Wisloff will round the final corner from pole position, under a lot of pressure, to a race win. Gregory will follow him in second for third place. There's some pressure on Greenwood. But Leif Hellberg's comeback drive has waited just a little bit too long. Oyvind Anderson has a black flag. Too many incident points and he can't serve that on the last lap, so it is going to cost Oyvind Andersen big time. Remigio de Pasqua will just hold on versus the charging Russ Addy. Addy a second faster on that final lap, needed to be a second and a half faster on the final lap. Here's here's Oyvind Andersen, who's got the black flag. So Skrefsrud and O'Malley can't get sucked into that and get their own black flag as well. All sets are just behind them as well. Oh dear, don't run that wide out the final corner. You gotta be careful. So Andersen crossed the line ahead of Skrefsrud, O'Malley, Setzer, Catalano, Bradley, and Hellstrom. We'll see how that gets sorted. I think Skrefsrud, Andersen and Skrefsrud both get dropped to 16th and 17th. Carrying black flags to the checkered flag has cost them incredibly dearly. Fastest lap of the race on lap 9 went to Ragnar Wisloff, our race winner and the pole sitter, near enough the best sweep possible of Silverstone. And JR Gregory second. Steve Greenwood third, that podium. Hellberg's mistake dropping him from third. He came back, but not in time to challenge for third place. Bob Cohen finished fifth. Remigio de Pasqua in sixth. Russ Addy from right towards the rear of the grid in 15th. Fought through to 7th. Paul Stump finished 8th. Franz Josef Sturm in 9th. Then Larry Titzel in 10th. Steve O'Malley. Nope, that's not correct. Steve O'Malley is 11th. We'll load that again, and hopefully the post-race penalties will count in the overlay. There we go. Yes, Steve O'Malley 11th, Earl Setzer 12th, Roberto Catalano 13th, then David Bradley and Peter Hallstrom. Oyvind Andersen got a black flag on the final lap for the incident point, and Jan-Erik Skrefsrud got a slowdown out of the final corner, didn't serve it in time. Both of them have been, I think, whacked with about 40-second post-race penalties. They did cross the line in 11th and 12th and immediately have been demoted about 30 seconds and about 45 seconds, respectively, to the rear of the field. See if some of our drivers will talk to us, and they will. Let's go to third place. Well, hello, Steve. Third step on an all Porsche podium, and I guess keeping your wheels cleanly on the track while Leif Hellberg couldn't, and you moved up and benefited from your consistency. Don't have any Steve. Well, we'll move on then to second place. See if we get a copy from JR Gregory.
Yeah, Dave, I'm here. How's it going, man?
Well, I'm good. Talk us through that one then. Second on the grid. Second place, really keeping that blowtorch on the race leader the first half. And then, did you find a gear that you didn't have, or you had to step it back? What was happening?
It was one of those situations where, I was close enough to him to try something at the very beginning, and that's a decision point, right? Do you force the issue early when you have an opportunity, or do you take a breath and try to hang with him and make something happen late? And I chose to try to hang with him and make something happen late, mostly because of tire wear issues. Silverstone really tough on tires, especially the fronts. But as you saw, it didn't work out because he was able to drive away. And, the reason is we only had 10 incident points before a drive-through. So you can kind of rack up the off tracks a little bit around Silverstone, and I actually racked up 9. And I was driving with 9x out of 10 the last 4 laps. So I didn't want to risk the points that I had in my pocket to try to make something happen. So I had to let him go.
That's very smart. We saw Oyvind Anderson get a 10th incident point on the final lap, so then he couldn't even serve the penalty. It dropped him from 11th to 16th, saved only by the fact that Jan-Erik Skrefsrud, who he was battling, got a slowdown penalty from going too wide out of the final corner, and both of them got dropped. So I think you're very wise to take what was available rather than grip too tightly and have it all fall out of your hand.
Yeah, and once bitten, twice shy. That's exactly what happened to me at Donington. I went over the incident limit on the last corner coming onto the pit straight in P4, and because I didn't, the distance was too short to burn off the slowdown. I ended up with a time penalty after the race and dropped from P4 to DFL, which in race parlance means definitely far from leading. So after that happened last week, I wasn't going to let it happen again here at Silverstone.
I'm estimating that for not serving the slowdown, Skrefsrud has been docked about 40 seconds.
Oof,
so I don't think he gained 40 seconds by opening the steering in the final corner, but that's how much he's lost from it. So I guess it's a tale for all. When Ragnar Wisloff was on the radio pre-race, is that one of his pre-race talking points, the rather stringent incident limit?
If that happened, I didn't hear it. I don't have comms on. Which is probably a bad habit, but I do a lot of racing on the public servers, and you know how that can get. So I just rather not listen to that. So I did not hear that. But this is week 7, of course, and we all have 6 races under our belts. A number of people, including myself, have been burned by that 10x limit already. So if you're not aware of it now, you deserve whatever consequences flow from that.
Well, our congratulations to you. You were manifesting a podium, and when you dream and you believe, you can achieve. So well done, and anyone you'd like to thank.
Yeah, too right, David. Thank you. Thanks to RaceSpot. I'm looking forward to going back and checking out the broadcast. And thanks to the organizers of this great league. It's kind of been a dream of mine to find a league of other old men like myself to race with. And it wasn't until I started working at RaceSpot, I saw this as one of our clients and signed up. I just turned 60 this year. And if anybody who knew me in my 20s is probably shocked that I made it this far, but I have. And it really is a great group of guys. And it's nice to kind of level the playing field in terms of, eyesight, reflexes, and those other physical attributes that tend to fall off as you reach an advanced age. So thanks so much to the organizers, and looking forward to the rest of the season.
Awesome. See you around.
Take care.
And to our race winner, Ragnar Wisloff joins us. Congratulations, Ragnar.
Well, thank you, David. That was quite a hard-earned position, I thought.
You're sneaking your way up the standings as well, because you haven't done every single race, but you've clearly done well the ones you have done. It's near enough the sweep here today. Pole, fastest lap, race win. Unfortunately, 3 incident points, Ragnar.
I know, embarrassing, isn't it? I was just, commenting to JR in the cool-down room that I wish we could distinguish between off-tracks and car contact type of excess of incident points. I don't mind so much the off tracks. What we really want to avoid is the car contact. But you're right, I wasn't clean. And at this track there are maybe 5 or 6 spots where you really struggle to stay inside of the limits if you're pushing. If you got someone as hard on your heels as JR was, then you tend to drift wide a few places.
Yeah, the risk reward calculus starts to look like a little bit more risk. Your second win of the season, where'd you pick the first one up?
I can't remember. Sorry, help me out, David.
I don't actually know. Okay, I'm looking through the thing. Wrong on myself. I don't know how to read this.
Okay, it doesn't matter. But all of the races have been quite close, and there's been, I think, very clean racing, which is what we wanted to have.
Might have been
these
the
cars.
Round one.
Might be the bend. Yeah, you're right. It was the bend. You're right. The first one. Yep. Down in Australia. But I think it's a good choice of car. I think it suits us. We don't really have the Formula One type of reaction times anymore, and this car allows a little bit of what should we say, slower reactions. And on a track like this, it's a car which rewards very much being smooth and respecting the fact that this is, a momentum car. Through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, for instance, you really have to watch your lines and your pedal inputs, otherwise you lose half a second. And when it becomes that technical and manageably slow, then I think it's a good car for our age group.
It's almost like the target market of real GT4 cars is over the age of 60.
Yes, maybe so. Well, I just did a track day with only Porsches, and I can tell you there's quite a few over 60 with lots of wings on their cars. So it's not just GT4s.
I've seen Porsche owners at the track. It's half gentlemen and half 30-year-olds who just offloaded their IT services business. I think that seems to be the type. Well, congratulations on the win, Ragnar. And I tease a little bit about the incident points because you actually were the 5th cleanest driver. We had Anderson get a penalty for the 10 incident points. You had Gregory behind you get to 9 with 4 or 5 laps to go and have to back it off a little bit. So you actually did pretty well for yourself.
Okay, well, that's good to hear then. I wasn't the worst. But the target is always 0, but sometimes you can't just get to your target.
Well, best of luck with the rest of the season. Anyone you'd like to thank, Ragnar?
As always, it's the guys on the Discord, Stumi. I'd always like to say thank you, Stumi. And a shout out to Russ as well. He was, I think, on a new computer today. He was tinkering away all day trying to get his VR working, and he was here, so he must have made it. So well done, Russ.
Thanks, Ragnar. See you next time.
Yep. Thanks, David. Bye.
So our best attempts to chat with our podium while I'm wrapping up. I will shout out Peter Holstrom, Steve Greenwood and David Bradley, who both completed the race with 0 incident points. Pretty sure looking at the point structure, there is a bonus for that. So well done to them, especially some of the battles that we saw, Greenwood involved in, David Bradley right in the thick of it as well, just trying to keep his nose clean and paid dividends in the end. It's been 60 plus touring car championship, the GT4 series of 60 plus racing adventures from Silverstone. Remember, if you are 60 years of age or older, this is the iRacing League for you. More people turn 60 every day. You can find them on their website. You can find them on Discord. You can find them on the iRacing forum as well. Plenty of ways to get in touch and join and check out the multitude of leagues that 60 plus racing adventures run. For RaceSpotTV, I've been David Haynes with Ramiro Agustin Cisneros. It's been our pleasure to bring you 60 plus racing adventures from Silverstone, and we'll see you again soon.